Hey guys, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to run Ableton and the Scarlett interface on the weekend, hopefully pretty quickly. So I'll go ahead and get going. The first thing you need to do is go to focusrite.com. You need to register your interface with the codes and all the numbers and stuff that came in the box with your interface. Create an account, log in. Once you register, you'll be able to see this right here, downloads and activation codes. So if you don't have Ableton already, your interface comes with Ableton Live Lite, which is all you should need. So you should have a code there. Don't use mine. It won't work. And then download Scarlett Mix Control right here for Mac, Windows, whatever you have. All you need is Ableton and then Scarlett Mix Control. So register it, download those two things, plug in your interface, and then turn it on, connect it to your laptop, and then pull up Ableton and Scarlett. So I'm going to show you how to work Scarlett Mix Control, which is this right here. Ableton will not work with the interface unless you have this open. So you need to make sure that this is open. Basically what it does is it routes the digital outs from Ableton to the physical outs on your interface. So your interface won't recognize what you're sending unless this is open. I'm going to walk it through pretty quickly. Basically what you need to do is set both of these at Unity at 0. Leave those there. You shouldn't need to change that. The next thing is make sure all these are blue. You'll see if I click them, they're red. Red means these outputs are off. These are the 10 outputs that are on your interface in the back. Red means they're off, and then if you shift click them, they go gray or silver. Basically what that means is that they're always going to send to 0. You can see kind of the output volume here. So you want to make sure they're all blue so that you can control the volume right here with this knob. So I think the first 6 come blue and then the last are silver. Just make sure they're all blue so they're all on and they're all matching whatever you do here. So you'll notice that I'm controlling this right here. This is basically the master volume. This is the volume from Ableton, and this is the volume out of the interface. So just leave these at 0, and then you also want to set this at 0. If you leave it any less, then you just need to bump it from the console, and you're just going to get fuzz or static. So make sure that this is set at 0, and then back it off if you need to, if it's coming out of the interface too hot. So leave this at 0. If you leave this button off, you can control it in the software. If you turn on hardware control, you can only control it from the interface. That's what I do so that nobody messes with it, nothing gets changed. You'll see I can't change the volume now by clicking it and trying to drag it. So live, I don't have to worry about anything changing, or if I need to back it down, then I can do it from the physical interface, which is right beside the power switch. It's the third knob from the right. It says volume monitor. So make sure that's all the way up to 0. The last thing in mix control is over here under your routing preset. You want to set this to mixing. Like I said, basically this just DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation, which is basically Ableton. So I could set Ableton output 5 to physical output 1. So these monitor 1, 2, line output 3, 4, all the way up to 10 are the physical outputs on the interface, and then these are the outputs from Ableton. What you want to do is you want to go to your routing preset and select mixing, because that's going to set them all to match. Ableton 1 to Scarlett 1, Ableton 2 to physical 2, and so on all the way through. So just come up here, select mixing, and it'll reset whatever you have. So set these to 0, make these blue, set this to 0, and then select mixing here, and you're good to go with Scarlett. Then you're going to go in Ableton. It should come up like this right from the get-go when you open a new Ableton session, except for this mic that I'm hopefully recording. I am. So you'll have these first 4. The first thing you want to do is just select these MIDI channels. You can shift or command select to do multiple at a time, and then just delete those. You're not going to use anything MIDI because what we're sending you for click and loop is an MP3 file. So you just need 2 audio channels. And then what you want to do is go to Live Preferences, and you want to go down to Record, Warp, and Launch. When you open Ableton for the first time, your auto warp long samples is going to be set to on. You want to make sure you turn that off, or it's going to set anything that you import to whatever tempo you have up here, which is 120. So unless you want to change that every week to match all the tempos of every song at the right spots, make sure you turn this off, and then it will just play at whatever tempo the MP3 is when you import it in. So you do that once and it'll stay forever. And then you go to audio. This you're going to have to do weekly. So the auto warp will be off all the time once you set it. Audio, you're going to have to change every week. Your input, you can just set to no input. I have it set to the Scarlett because that's what I'm recording this microphone with. Yours should just say no input. Really what you're concerned with is the output. So to set Ableton's output to the interface, to Scarlett, to the mix control that we just worked in, you need to change your audio output to Scarlett. So when you unplug the interface every week to take your laptop, it's going to reset. You just need to go back to live preferences, or you can hit command comma and this page will come up, and then route it to whatever you want. If you're just listening to it from your laptop, that's built in. And then on the weekend, you want to make sure that you select Scarlett. Then you need to go to your output configuration, and you need to turn on whatever channels you want to send it through. So I use mine. I send 1 to 5 and 6 because on the back of the interface, they're the 3 that are actually beside each other. It's kind of weird, but so I send 1, 5, and 6. You can use 1, 3, and 4, or whatever you want. You really don't need to have 1 and 2 stereo. You really only need 1 because you're just sending click mono. But just to make sure, you can leave those both on. And then I'm going to select 5 and 6 because that's what I'm using. So this just lets Ableton know that the only outputs I want to use are channel 1 and 2 mono, and then 5 and 6 stereo. Select OK, and then you should be good. So audio output to Scarlett, and then your output configuration set up how I just showed you. You can click out of this, and now you're ready to roll to import the tracks. So when you open Ableton, you should see there's 2 views. This is session view, and then if you hit tab, or if you select up here, you'll get to arrangement view, which is what we use on the weekend. Start out in session view. If you don't see the input and output here, audio from and audio to, select right down here in the bottom right. I/O is your inputs and outputs, so select that. This will pop up. And then you're going to want to flip over to the other side. You can get rid of these. You don't need these for the weekend. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to go find whatever you're using for the weekend. I already pulled these up just to use for today. And you're just going to click and drag those into Ableton. So top channel is going to be my click, and then bottom is going to be my, not that, my stereo loops. And the way that we send these to you guys, they should line right up. So you'll see there's my click, there's my loop. If you want, you can tab or switch back over to session view, and then you can rename these. The way you do that is Command R. It'll highlight like that. I'm going to call this click, and then I'm going to tab over, or you can, if you click off of it, you can just select it, Command R again to rename, and loop. And now you can see that both of these are playing because I'm recording the track. So I'm not sending that to the recording, so you won't hear it because I don't want it to be obnoxious. But because I'm actually recording in Ableton, I have to let it play. So these are going to play when you hit spacebar. So so now I have my 2 channels. I have them in. Then what you want to do is you want to go to your audio 2 from here, which is where you're sending this audio, and you want to select external out, which is going to send it to your Scarlett for both of these. And then within that, you want to tell it what channels that you want to send it to. So basically what we did before, now it's giving us those options. So I want to send my click to channel 1, and then I want to send my loop to channel 5 and 6, and you'll see them come up here. So now they're not going to play out of my laptop anymore. They're only going to play through Scarlett. So I'm going to plug in those 3 cables, run them to the console, however I want to use them. From there, so click will be your channel 1, and then your loop will be 5 and 6. So pretty simple. That's it. Now you're going to have those separated into the 3 different channels. Last thing I'm going to show you, I think, is if you want to set these up this way, so you can hit minus to zoom out and then shift plus will zoom in. If you want to name these, I'm scared it's going to stop the recording, so if it does, I'm sorry. If I go up here to where this little speaker is and I click, I'm not going to do it now because it's going to stop my recording, but if I click here, it's going to start playing from that spot. So if you're in rehearsal, you can see where the cues are, and you don't want to take it from the beginning. You want to take it from chorus 2 or whatever, verse 2. I can locate that cue just by kind of shifting through. You can see where the cues are here in the click track, and you can actually start it right from there. Or live, if you're not live stream or whatever and you need to pause it, you can right click here. It's going to come up with add locator. I'm going to do that. It's going to come up as channel 1, and then you can rename it with command R, or you can go to preference or edit and rename it. I'll call it song 1 for now. And so anytime, I can't do it now or it's going to go from that point, but if I add another locator, call it song 2, later on, whatever, find those spots. Sorry, I clicked off. Back now. If I click on this flag, it's going to set me up at that point. If it's playing and you click it, it'll keep playing from that spot. If it's stopped and you click it, it will start from that song. So if you're in rehearsal and you want to run from song 2, you don't have to go back anymore through the MP3 in iTunes or whatever to try to find it, or in Logic. Just click the marker and then hit spacebar, and it'll start from that point on. You can also set these to be keys on your keyboard. The way you do that is up here. If I select MIDI, it's going to turn purple. That's if I want to set it to like the key on a MIDI keyboard or whatever. We normally do it from our laptop here downtown. What I do is select key. Now they're going to be orange. All you have to do is select this, and then I'm going to set song 2 to key 2, and I'm going to set song 1 to key 1, and then click off. So now anytime I push 2, again, I can't do it now because it's going to stop the recording. You'll see that this like orange line will come up to wherever my marker is set. So I can select 1 and then start the set, and then if I'm in rehearsal, whatever, or if I need a break within the set on Sunday, I can stop the click, spacebar, and then select 2, and it'll start right from the beginning of. You can drag these and set them wherever you want. You can zoom in and make sure they're set at the right point or whatever, for whatever you want to do. And that way you're not having to scroll back and forth. And then you can repeat this process for invitation too. If you don't want to add the invitation song, it may be a different volume in the click. You can go up here to create, insert audio track, and then I can do the same thing, rename this invitation click. I don't know if I spelled that right. And then I can drag in another click, from here to set up as, and then just start it. See if I can. It doesn't matter, but I drag it in. You'll want to drag it into back here rather than to the front, so that it plays after. And then same thing, I can set up a marker, rename it, invitation loop, whatever, and then set it up that way. So that's Ableton and Scarlett. Fairly simple, I think, and I think standardizing this is going to make it a lot easier for us in the long run, sending things back and forth, and eventually we'll teach you guys how to change keys and stuff like that, so you can do stuff that's specific for your campus. I think that's it. If you have any questions, definitely let me or Eddie know, and we'll walk you through it again. But yeah, that's it. Have a great week, guys.